In preparing for the Huntsville Hamfest, I decided to dust off my mobile Winlink setup and take it on the road. My typical Hamfest radio is the Yaesu FT-70D. I love the size of this little radio. It's easy to program from the keypad, and it's got a great audio tone. It's also reasonably priced, so if I lose it along the way, it's not a Hamfest tragedy. My mobile Winlink setup consists of the 70D, a Mobilinkd TNC3, and my Android phone running a Winlink client called WoAD. In the past, I've been frustrated with my mobile Winlink station because of a particular idiosyncrasy of the Mobilinkd devices. However, I recently received what may be a simple solution to my problem, but more about that later in the video. Because of this issue, it's been some time since I've used my mobile Winlink setup. So long, in fact, it was last set up on my prior smartphone. When I went to make sure everything was still working, I discovered I needed to reconfigure WoAD. This video will show you a couple of the frustrating aspects of setting up WoAD if A, you've never done it before, B, you haven't done it in a long time, or C, you're somebody who doesn't like to read the manual, and yes, we know who you are. So let's check it out. The first thing we're going to do is set up the Mobilinkd for use with your Android device. You have to pair the Mobilinkd with your device before you run this app. You click Connect to select your TNC. Once connected, click on the audio output to set your PTT style and to verify PTT is working. The 70D indicates it is transmitting with the red LED at the top of the radio. Next, we check the audio input settings and make sure our radio volume is set correctly. You want your audio set so it just tickles the red level indicator. All of the other settings are typically fine. It is important to disconnect this app before using WoAD, or it may have trouble connecting to the TNC. Here, I am setting up a fresh install of WoAD on an Android tablet. First, use the settings option to configure your call sign. Next, and this is my first pro tip, verify the SSID is 0. If not, you will only receive messages configured for the specific SSID. Set your password, and I typically request a message acknowledgement, but this is optional. All other default settings are typically fine. Next, we will look at sessions. WoAD, like all other Winlink clients, is session-based. This is where you configure how and to which server you want to connect. I name a session after the mail server and a location identifier such as a landmark, town, or city to help me pick a nearby server when I am mobile. Where do you get the name of a server? You can find server listings and locations under the Tools tab on the winlink.org site. This is my closest gateway, yet it is still about 20 miles away. The other important items here are protocol, set to packet, type as outgoing, and settings. In settings, choose your destination address, then RMS channel selection. Now here is another spot you can get jammed up. If this is a new setup, WoAD will not know your Maidenhead grid square, so it doesn't know what radio mail servers to show you. And this is where setup can get a bit obscure. You need to set your grid square information, not in the settings, but under Position Report. You can leave these options turned on if you have location services enabled. I often do not, so I will set my grid manually. Now, when I return to the session, settings, RMS channel selection, I will be presented with a list of RMS options within 300 kilometers of my grid square. I will scroll down and select my server, and the details are pulled into the configuration. Going back to the previous session screen, I can now set my TNC type to KISS. Then change my KISS connection to a Bluetooth connection type using a TNC3 Mobilink. The Bluetooth settings do not need updated. And the device manufacturer in my case is generic. Here is the other detail I always forget and get hung up on when using the TNC3, and that is adjusting the KISS port. The TNC3 requires port number 6. That is not the case with the 4, nor with any previous version of the Mobilinkd devices, all of which use KISS port 0. You can really burn some time on this one. Okay, so now I have a new session configured for my closest mail server. It's time to create a message and attempt to send it. I am going to send an email to my buddy KM4ACK and see if he is able to bring his elk antenna to Huntsville so I don't have to pack mine. And now let's post it to the outbox so it will be sent the next time I make a connection. Now I am going to initiate a session, or in other words, attempt to connect to the Willow Park server. We can bring up the log and watch the progress of an attempted connection. Here we can see the 70D transmitting, but unfortunately there is no log activity. I think it is safe to say we are just too far away from the mail server to hit it with 5 watts and a rubber duck antenna. Let's stop the session, clear the logs, and try something else. Okay, I'm going to put the 70D on a UHF frequency, put my Kenwood D710G into crossband repeat mode, and try to use its 50 watts of power with the external antenna to reach the radio mail server that's 20 miles away. Let's restart the session and watch the logs. Straight away, we see entries in the log. We connected to the mail server. The message was sent, and with no further tasks to complete, the session is ended. Here we can verify we have mail in the sent folder, and we no longer have mail in the outbox. The key to really understand what is going on behind the scenes is to better understand the information in the logs. You can download the AX25 protocol from the TAPR website. It is very well documented, and as far as protocols go, it's fairly easy to follow. Now back to why I'm willing to give this another go. I love the Mobilinkd functionality, but not the physical implementation. That power button, flush with the case, has left me with a dead battery more than once. This, my friends, this may be the solution. It is a simple rubber button protector from QuirkyQRP. It is simple but well executed. It comes with an isopropyl prep pad to clean the surface of the Mobilinkd for better adhesion, and the button is backed with genuine 3M adhesive, you know, the really good stuff. It's a simple concept and an even simpler install. It appears to be just the right thickness. You have to get your finger in there to hit the button. This should reduce accidental power cycles. This looks like it will do the trick. In using this a bit, I discovered that the buttonhole is exactly the same width as the Yaesu FT-70D belt clip catch, enabling the use of the clip as a holder to keep things tidy when you are checking or sending mail. Just a little bonus for those of you who made it to the end. Well, that's all I have for now, folks. I hope this reduces your frustration when configuring WoAD with the TNC3. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.